Welcome back. There's a heavy police presence in Diepsloot tonight, actually an operation currently underway. These are live visuals, and our reporter Aviwe Mtila is there with police officers. A short while ago, Sally, they were arresting people, and we're not too sure if those were undocumented foreigners or people linked to that attack that we saw last night when the Zimbabwean Elvis Nyati was murdered.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing, you know, arresting someone because they don't have their papers is not necessarily a policing win, because just because someone doesn't have their papers doesn't mean they're a criminal. It simply means that there could be a variety of reasons why they don't have their papers, and it could be as simple as this person has tried for months and months and months to get into the right spot in Home Affairs to get papers, and we know that there have been ongoing concerns about how very difficult it is for asylum seekers in particular to get their papers. And what we can see, though, of course, is a strong police presence, which might be some comfort for the people of Diepsloot, who I can only imagine must be particularly traumatized after what happened last weekend with 7 people murdered, 14 more in hospital, but they have made arrests on that score.
They have made several arrests, and we know that more than 24 undocumented foreigners were arrested overnight. We're hearing from our reporter on the scene that there were more people arrested now. Of course, we mustn't forget why residents were actually protesting in the first place. It's not just about foreigners who are in the area illegally. It's also, they say, about crime that's gone unsolved for years. I mean, you remember the people I spoke to last night on the scene telling me that regardless of this big fancy police building that they have right in the heart of Diepsloot, they wait 2 hours at a time before police can actually arrive on the scene when someone is murdered. And that's due to inefficiencies in the police force in that area. We know that there were 6 vans for that area, and it's not just Diepsloot that they manage, it's other areas, Lanseria, etc. So the police minister going in, putting in more resources. We're seeing a show of force tonight, and the key word, I think, Sal, is a show, because how long is this going to go on for?
Yeah, and you know what it reminds me of a little is what we see happening on the Cape Flats, that there's some horrific crimes. The police move in, sometimes the army moves in, there's an attempt to try and clean things up, but it's impossible to manage unless you have serious intelligence on what's going on. And a case in point is last night, that there was a sense on the streets that something was going to be done in terms of police presence, something slightly more positive, and then in the hours after that, someone horrifically butchered by a group of people, and it may well have been linked to his status as a foreigner. So you need the intel to get into these gangs, these people who are criminals, regardless of whether they're South Africans or from any other African country.
Yeah, the one gentleman I spoke to last night said crime is crime. I mean, why are we targeting a specific group? But I've been in Diepsloot for years as a reporter, actually for the past decade or so. I remember going to Diepsloot year on year talking about the same issue. Crime is the biggest concern for residents in this area, and foreigners suddenly became the target. I asked somebody, what proof do you have that foreigners are behind these crimes? And they said, well, go check the stats and see who police have arrested for the murders here. The reality is whether they've been convicted, because we do know that's the case.
And also, you might be arrested just for not having the right documents. Doesn't mean that you've committed an actual crime. But that's where we're going to leave the visuals for now. Of course, we're going to keep an eye on this story. Marcelle Gordon is coming up at 8 o'clock, so she'll certainly bring you the latest on that. But of course,